we'll speak about 5 small projects. Small scale, big impact, planting ideas for growing communities. The first project I want to show you today, it's a project for an exhibition I was invited to design at Cabaret Voltaire. Cabaret Voltaire is a very small but very important institution in Zurich, the city where I live, where the Dada movement was founded in 1916. It's the mother of all the European avant-garde in Europe. Thank you. And the exhibition was titled Revolution to Smash Global Capitalism. And after the first few meetings with the curator, I wanted to find out whether I understood the topic and the brief correctly of the job I was supposed to do. So I wanted to challenge them, and I said that to smash capitalism, you need capitalism. And therefore, I decided to design the whole exhibition only with 2 elements. One is this, which is a box produced very cheaply by the famous Swedish multinational company called IKEA in Europe. And if you're a European designer, it's like dealing with the evil, because they are really producing fairly good quality design products at really, really cheap price. So they're really running out of business all the other companies. And these boxes you can buy for a couple of dollars. And they are supposed to design to keep toys for kids in rooms. And the other elements that I wanted to build exhibition with is actually this. It's a zip tie, you know, the one that the electrician uses. The idea was to use that little tiny hole that you can see there and zip the whole exhibition together with this and build everything we needed. Thanks to this strategy, after the exhibition was over, after 3 months, we were able to cut this off, take all the furniture to all these boxes to IKEA and say, thank you, but we don't like them anymore. Could you please give us the money back? And so therefore, I built, you know, the exhibition was conceived as a place to introduce the concept of change and train people and show them how actually they are the change. They could be the change. So the exhibition was conceived as something between a concept shop, a lab, a workshop space, and it featured 3 sections: documentation, vision, and action. So it therefore needed different devices. This is what I put together with these 2 elements: bookshelves, lamps, armchair and couches, tables to work and to do several things, workshops, a bed to sleep, more lamps and stools. So thanks to this strategy, we were able to basically make the exhibition travel all across Europe or across the world for free. These are the countries which IKEA is distributed. All I needed was an extraction manual and zip ties. So what is interesting is that capitalism is also fighting back, because last time I was to IKEA, I found out they copied my system to showcase their small items in a shop using the boxes I hijacked for them and the zip ties, and I found this quite funny. So with this spirit, with this intent, I've designed another anti-product, what I call an anti-product. This is a device made with the same boxes, some of them which I kept more for myself. I didn't bring it to them. It's a small device that is able to grow food at home using hydroponics. For those of you who are not familiar with hydroponics, it's a simple agricultural technique to grow food in water instead of soil. These provide enormous advantages for urban agriculture because you can put more plants in much more space. You can use up to only the 10% of the water otherwise used in traditional agriculture. You have full control of the nutrients that the plants receives. You don't have the problem of weeds, which it's a lot of time consuming. And most of all, for an urban guy with me, a great thumb, you don't have to water the plants. This is for me really the revolutionary part. But the cool part of this specific project is that it's designed to be grown with my own fertilizer they produce, with my own urine, so to speak. One technique you can use is it's called aquaponics, and you can use fish urine or fish waste to fertilize the water. In this case, I wanted to make an experiment, and I wanted to be the fish to fertilize them. And this was, of course, it was a provocation, it was a conceptual piece I presented in Milano in the design fair, because I wanted to show that you can create a closed loop between what we are and what we produce. It's really simple. I mean, it works. And so I've been running several experiments in my office and grow salad with my own rind. And I tell you, it tastes great. It really was really perfect. But this is not what really the project is about. This project is about inventing new ways to conceive, design, and distribute ideas. Because normally, as a designer, as an architect, you get hired by an industry. You get hired, you make your drawings, you illustrate, you tell a story, and you go to an artisan, a carpenter, and these guys make your ideas a concrete thing. They build it. But I wanted to make something completely new. I wanted to design something simple, radically simple, that anyone can build at home with simple, basic tools. I really think that instead of designing new stuff, producing new stuff, we should find ways to reassemble what we already have, what is already around us. So with these simple boxes, I put together 5 different hydroponic setups, which anyone could build with really basic tools. So this is perfect for kitchen top and growing herbs. This is a little bigger one. The cool system, the cool part of this, it does not require electricity. It's called the non-circulating hydroponics. And you can stack them up together and put into a wall like an edible garden, edible vertical garden. Even a table, a mobile system with a PV that you can take around. And so instead of designing a new product, I wanted to design a manual, a book of a furniture that does not exist unless you make it. Design today, I think, could turn the world population into the biggest creative industry ever known, a crowd factory. Design for me is a form of knowledge, and I wanted to turn people into the manufacturer of an idea. For this reason, I've decided to use Elio using IKEA products. Everybody knows where to find an IKEA store in Europe or most of the world, and how much items will cost. And in other words, I wanted to use IKEA as a distributor of supplies of a furniture that does not exist. In other words, I didn't want to hack an IKEA furniture, I wanted to hack the whole bloody company. But the goal of design, I think, is also to inspire. So you could build these devices with or without the IKEA boxes. It's really simple. Those are simply, the cheapest available and the standard which I could find more or less everywhere in the world. So working with, and here comes the third project, working with urban agriculture, I want also to engage with aquaponics. This is an experiment I also been running in my office. And as an architect, when I've been doing several urban agricultural projects, I wanted to find out how much food you can really grow into a home. And I'd give myself this brief. So putting all the information together, fish and salad together. In this case, fish nourish the plants, and the plants cleans the water for the fish. It came out something like a Frankenstein piece, like of 2 refrigerators. Again, I wanted to make it, build it out of spare parts that they could gather around anywhere. And again, I wanted to tell a story and to make it concrete. And what is interesting, the main challenge was to find out the size of the fish tank, and that's basically a bathtub. And these things is able to grow 1 meal a day, 200 grams of fish and a side salad aside. Something very important that I wanted to explain, that is, when I did this project, I always engage people. For instance, for designing and publishing the book I made, Elio, I made a crowdfunding campaign. I raised $10,000 and I published the book and I distributed it all across the world. And since then, many activities are happening completely independent from my will or intentions. Workshops in school, working with children, showing how hydroponics works, workshops in offices. And there's a bunch of geeks that are also building open hardware devices as a microcontroller. And this is, for me, is very important because Helio, it became like a seed of an idea to farm for growing community wanted to grow food in urban environments. Another project of this kind, jumping a little bit of scale, after I made the third project I've shown you today, which I called Malthus, I asked myself, what if we transfer this concept into an urban scale, at an architectural scale? So I've designed this geodesic structure, which is able to grow food. It's able to grow food and fish for 4 family of 4. The city you see here, in which the project is depicted, is the city of Athens, which exactly perfectly depicts the agenda of this micro architectural device. It can land in any rooftop, technically, because the idea of the geodesic greenhouse is that it can redistribute the concentrated load of the fish tank. It's a minimal architecture. It's something that I defined a bare hand architecture, something that could be built with basic tools, very rudimentary material, within 2 days and with the effort of 2 men. It could even be built out of bamboo with the idea that you can farm the farm. This is something that really intrigues me. So, logically speaking, within these consequences of scales, I would have a perfect project for you to show you, but I'm not allowed to talk to you about it yet. It's a real, it's a bigger project. It's much bigger investments. But unfortunately, I cannot really talk about it yet. So I decided to show you another project, which slightly shift the concept of what I consider urban farming, which is not for me a way of growing food in the city, but it's a way to grow the city, to farm the city as a whole, as a living environment. What I'm going to show you now, it's a one-to-one scale prototype I did in city of Marseille in France, together with an organization called Civic City, run by an incredible graphic designer called Rudy Bauer. And he hired me to build a wall. A wall by means of reconnecting a disadvantaged social houses built in the 50s to the rest of the city, and also protect a multi-confessional cemetery which is present in this area, which they call the cemetery of the world culture. The idea of this wall is that it would organize 5 different architectural events. One belvedere in which you can gain the sea view, and a promenade that connects them towards this last piece, which is depicted here as a prototype, which is basically a wall factory. It's basically a cabanon, a barrack, in which the wall will actually be produced. So, in my proposal, this wall will be made out of concrete bricks with a special shape, which anyone can actually produce locally. The idea would be to engage the kids which are hanging out in the area, train them, show them some skill, possibly teach them a job, and they will be actually create a collective infrastructure that we'll actually use. This project was immediately done prototyped one-to-one with some students and some people from this quartier. And the idea of this brick is that it has special proportions, so you can build a wall with gaps inside, which allows you to save a lot of material, save time, create an ecological infrastructure because animals can nest into it, but also use those holes to attach architecture into it, integrated with a promenade or with some urban furniture, like this one is. This is Rudy Bauer testing a prototype of the bench. So, what it is important for me the point that I wanted to get across today is that design for me, it's an idea that can be farmed and help growing communities along the way. This idea can be very, very, very small, like a brick, like a small geodesic structure, like a zip tie. It is an idea that anyone can produce, and exactly for this reason, it can have a big impact. Thank you very much.